Brace yourself. Europe heading to recession. As the European economy continues to sputter, fears of a recession are growing across the continent. In 2022, many European countries are still struggling to recover from the financial crisis of a decade ago, and the region has been slow to adapt to the changing global economy. The rise of populism and nationalism has also made it difficult for countries to work together to find solutions. As a result, the European Union is facing an existential crisis, and the Euro's future is in doubt. Welcome to my YouTube channel as we dive into this subject. In 2022, Europe is facing several economic challenges causing fears of a recession. These include the recession in Europe in 2022 is slowing down global economic growth because it is causing a decrease in demand for goods and services. This decrease in demand can lead to a decrease in production and an increase in unemployment. The European recession in 2022 has also caused a continuing trade war between the US and China. The US has imposed tariffs on Chinese imports to protect American jobs and industries. China has responded by imposing tariffs on US imports. This has led to a decrease in trade between the two countries and resulted in higher consumer prices. The trade war has also caused economic uncertainty and has led to a decline in global economic growth. Additionally, the fear of the European recession in 2022 is causing Brexit and the uncertainty surrounding the UK's future relationship with the EU. The UK was scheduled to leave the EU on March 29, 2019, and the future relationship is still uncertain. The UK is a member of the European Union, and the European Union is a political and economic union of 28 member states that are located primarily in Europe. The UK is the first and only member state to have voted to leave the EU, and the future relationship is still uncertain. The high level of debt in many European countries has led to a recession in 2022. The countries that are most affected by these are Greece, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. These countries have been struggling to pay off their debts for years, and the recession has made it even more difficult for them to do so. The fear of the recession has been predicted as a result of a lot of unemployment in these countries, making it even harder for people to pay off their debts. These factors are all likely to lead to a reduction in demand for European goods and services and could lead to a reduction in investment and jobs. This could, in turn, lead to a decrease in consumer spending and an increase in savings. A recession is typically defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. However, it is often difficult to identify a recession until it has already started. Therefore, the fears of a recession in Europe may already be justified. To avoid a recession, European policymakers need to take action to boost demand and confidence in the economy. This could include reducing interest rates, which can reduce the recession in Europe by stimulating economic activity and encouraging spending and investment. Lower interest rates make it cheaper to borrow money, which can lead to increased spending on big-ticket items like homes and cars. This increased spending can help boost economic growth and reduce the effects of the recession. The most direct way fiscal stimulus can reduce the recession in Europe is by increasing government spending and cutting taxes. This can help to increase demand in the economy and spur economic activity. Additionally, fiscal stimulus can help to create jobs and support businesses, which can also help to reduce the effects of recession. The European Commission's Directorate General for Economic and Financial Affairs, or DGECFIN, is responsible for economic analysis, forecasting, and advice on macroeconomic developments and economic policy issues in the European Union. DGECFIN supports the development and implementation of economic policy in the European Union by providing analysis, forecasts, and advice on macroeconomic developments and economic policy issues. The Directorate General also promotes the coordination of economic policies in the European Union and supports the European semester process. To reduce the recession in Europe in 2022, DGECFIN could support businesses and households through various measures. This could include providing financial support to businesses to help them with cash flow and investment, improving access to finance for business, supporting households through measures such as unemployment benefits and tax breaks, investing in infrastructure and other projects to create jobs and boost growth, implementing policies to increase consumer confidence and spending, working with European partners to improve the overall economic situation in the European Union. If a recession does occur, it is likely to be relatively mild and short-lived. However, there is a risk that it could be more severe and prolonged if the global economy worsens or Brexit significantly reduces trade with the UK. Assuming that the recession in Europe in 2022 is caused by a decrease in demand for goods and services, this would lead to a decrease in exports from the United States to Europe. This decrease in exports would lead to a decrease in revenue for American companies and could lead to layoffs and a decrease in consumer spending. The decrease in consumer spending would lead to a decrease in demand for goods and services, leading to a decrease in production by American companies. The decrease in production would lead to a decrease in employment and a decrease in wages. The decrease in employment and wages would lead to a decrease in consumer spending and demand for goods and services. This decrease in demand would lead to a decrease in production, which would lead to a decrease in employment and a decrease in wages. This decrease in spending would lead to a decrease in GDP and a decrease in the standard of living for Americans. The possible recession in Europe has ripple effects throughout the world. One of the hardest hit continents is Africa. The continent experiences a decrease in demand for its exports, a decline in foreign investment, and an overall slowdown in economic activity. The decrease in demand for Africa's exports leads to a decline in the continent's export earnings. This, in turn, leads to a decline in economic growth and an increase in unemployment. The decline in foreign investment also leads to a decline in economic growth and an increase in unemployment. The overall slowdown in economic activity leads to a decrease in tax revenue and an increase in government borrowing. This, in turn, leads to an increase in the continent's debt burden and a further decline in economic growth. The recession in Europe has had a significant impact on Africa and its people. The continent experiences a decline in economic growth, an increase in unemployment, and a decline in living standards. The European Union is working to improve Europe's economy through several different methods. One method is providing financial assistance to countries struggling with a recession. The EU is also working on increasing European trade and investment and improving the overall business environment. In response to the recession in Europe in 2022, the European Union has implemented a series of policies and initiatives to stimulate economic growth and create jobs. These include providing financial support to member states through the European Stability Mechanism and establishing the European Fund for Strategic Investments. The European Union is working towards implementing the Juncker Plan and supporting structural reforms in member states. Another key strategy is investing in digitalization and innovation and in creating a European Labor Authority. The European Union is working strongly towards strengthening the social safety net, encouraging entrepreneurship, supporting SMEs, promoting youth employment, investing in green growth, and transitioning to a low-carbon economy. The social and political repercussions of the Great Recession are still strongly felt among the population across European countries, especially in those countries that were most hard hit. With the Eurozone in its recession, previous local surveys showcase a deepening cost of living crisis and a rather gloomy outlook that keeps consumers wary of spending. The citizens are more likely to experience depreciation and dissatisfaction. Despite easing price pressure, sustenance is still costly, making life in Europe quite uncertain in the current economic chaos. It is clear that a possible recession in Europe may affect the global economy in general, which may result to a ripple effect not only to the neighboring countries, but those that are involved in any form of trading with Europe. It is therefore clear to see that if all this happens, it may not be as favorable for the entire globe in general. It is the hope of many that this may not be the case, so that the global economy can be restored to its previous condition or a better state than it was before. That's what we have for you today. For more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and share. Till next time.